Welcome to the Stop Money Anxiety Now live podcast, episode number 6, Playing the Money Game. All right, welcome back to another live broadcast of the Stop Money Anxiety Now podcast. I am your host, Houng from the Six Figure Academy.
And I'm Jessica, also from the Six Figure Academy.
And this is the podcast where we give you the real world tips, the real world, everything else is not real world, strategies and interviews with some amazing entrepreneurs on how to eliminate the destructive money habits and anxiety so that you can create a prosperous and abundant lifestyle and business free of financial stress and worry. And today, we're going to be talking about the importance of playing the money game. How are you doing, Jessica?
Great. Nice to be back and settled from making the circuits.
I know. You were, actually, you were out there longer than I had. So last week, we got a chance to go over to the Lucidity Festival. Mm-hmm. And you got me an opportunity to do a 90-minute presentation over there to some of the participants of that festival. Mm-hmm. And that was actually my first time ever going to a festival. And it was like Burning Man-ish-esque type of festival. So it was interesting. It was a interesting cultural experience for me. A lot of sensory stimulation, overstimulation, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, and to point out, there are so many different festivals that are happening in California and around the world. This is the type of festival that Lucidity is a part of, or this grouping under like the subcategory is, they would be called transformative or experiential festivals. Mm-hmm. So a lot of standard festivals, like, Coachella is also, I think, last week, and then the second weekend is this weekend. Like EDC.
Oh, there's 2 weekends for Coachella?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So these types of festivals are really just about music and, like eating, and it's just about the music, really.
Right.
There are, granted, there's different activities and things that go on, but the sole focus is music.
Right.
With these other festivals like Lucidity and Vision down in Costa Rica, or Wonderfruit in Thailand, these types of festivals, take into consideration the importance of music, of, having people to come together and, like dancing, whatever. But it's also really inclusive with workshops, lectures, skill sharing, like interactive activities.
Right.
Yeah, so it's beautiful. Like, I really enjoy myself whenever I go.
Yeah. And, just as a reminder, if you're just tuning in live with us, we are on Spreaker.com. You can also find us on the sixfigureacademy.com/radio. And after we're done, it's going to be available on the iTunes podcast network. But, so if you are on Spreaker.com, you can definitely ask us questions, because we're going to go diving deep as to why I was even at the festival speaking, why we were there speaking. We know why Jessica goes there, because that's kind of our old stomping ground. But what is an engineer guy like me who works with entrepreneurs at the Six Figure Academy doing over there? So if you have any questions at all during this whole entire show today, make sure you type in your chat. We'll right here. We're going to see it. Either Jessica and I will find your question, and then we'll address a few things, because we're going to go deep. I mean, can you share a little bit about why you decided you wanted me to go speak at Lucidity Festival?
Yeah. So, and I talked about this last week, was that if you have a bank account, then you are your own business, whether you think that you have a business or not. A lot of the participants in this festival, whether they're healers or vendors or, like glass blowers or whatever, this is an environment where you can come and share your gifts and actually, excel some of your products, your skills at a really casual level. I felt that a lot of people in this community have a lot to give, whether it's their insights, like massage sessions or like therapy sessions, or even just, like there's a whole vending alley. Do you remember seeing that? Just like with all these like clothes and necklaces, bracelets, bags, like, it's like, it's a business at the end of the day. And even like the food vendors, that's a business too. And I met a lot of people who had impromptu businesses where they just had like a case of, things that they had made, like necklaces or, and there's like, they're going around selling it. And I felt that this community is brought together with intention and, kind of seeing and hearing a lot of how people are struggling financially really took to me, because what they have to offer is really beautiful, and hearing that they're struggling in their normal lives outside of these like, festival circuits and trying to make ends meet year after year after year was what, it's like, I want to get way into this and have him speak to this community, because there is a way to find yourself in a sustainable space and be able to share what you have to share in the comforts of, like security, and knowing that you can build yourself and be in that space.
So basically you're saying that you, to shorten it, basically you wanted me to go in there to give a different perspective on what it means to make money on this planet.
Yes, because, and I'm sure you picked up, a lot of people in this community get triggered with the word money. Even just saying money like multiple times, I've noticed that, the audience is pretty triggered.
Yeah, I mean, and what people don't realize is that the more aversion you have towards money, the more difficult it is for you to actually make money. And it's weird, because then, they take a different approach. Instead of a lot of people don't end up, and this is not just the festival community. A lot of people then, instead of resolving their challenges or their emotional charge around money, they find different ways to work around it. Like, finding nobility and being poor.
Yes.
Coupon clipping. Not to say there's not a lot wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it, except that you don't see a lot of super wealthy, prosperous people clipping coupons. Right. Yeah. Some do, and that's a whole different type of set of money anxieties there. But for the most part, clipping coupons takes time. Clipping coupons takes time for you to look for it. And that time, people who value the gifts that they have to bring on this planet realize that the time they take to quote-unquote clip coupons, they could be doing something bigger and greater.
Yeah. And also coupons they're so specific. It's like this product from this company and it's only this amount that's off.
Right. And is it really saving that much? I still remember there's a period of time, I think it's because I was driving hybrids for the first time, that I would actually drive around for miles looking for the cheapest gas station. And I justified it by saying, well, half the time I'm cruising around, I'm on electric, so I'm really not wasting any gas. So But I'm driving around the city looking to save 3 cents, 10 cents, right?
Off a gallon, yeah.
Off a gallon. And then my tank is what? 13, okay, let's say it's at 10 gallons, right? Then at 10 gallons, what am I really saving at 10 cents? I'm saving $1.
Yep. Yeah, the other day I was in Whole Foods and I had, found this coupon that was like, oh, like this amount of offered this specific tea. I look at the tea and it's more expensive than the tea that I love. It's like $5 more expensive than like the tea that I usually buy. And I was just like, this is not a coupon. Like, I just want to try it because there's a coupon, but it's not saving me money.
Right. And if you try it, did you try it?
No, I just got my tea. So I'm like, this is what I know I love.
Because you know what you like.
It's cheaper, yeah.
Right? So at the end of the day, when we get ourselves, there is a transition point when we get ourselves detached from that aversion around money, we start to really can then calibrate on, well, what is it that I really want? Am I doing it because there's a coupon here? And that's how they get you. It's a marketing. Coupons, at the end of the day, are a marketing tactic from the companies.
Oh my gosh, and I have so many friends who, not even just from coupons, but the deal's like, oh, it's a 2 for $25 or da-da-da-da, and like, but it's such a good deal. And I'm like, that's what they want you to think.
Right. But we don't, and we don't realize what kind of toll that takes. I mean, for example, the whole Groupons, the living socials and everything like that. I have seen and heard of businesses go out of business because of their engagement with Groupon. Right? Because Groupon forces them to go a specific model to really kind of tap into that market that it's all about getting that deal. Right? And then they spend more time looking for that deal. And Groupon has made it really easy for those people. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have a Groupon account.
Same.
I just got my own my most recent iPad Pro off the Groupon because they had a whole thing. But had I not known that Apple's refurbished products are just as good as their new products, because that's kind of how Apple operates, I probably wouldn't have said yes to that. Right.
Yeah, I use Groupon just to get to know businesses. Like if this is my first time and they happen to be on Groupon, then it's it's a good deal. And
which is really
time.
what businesses should use Groupon for.
Yeah, and it's great. Like
Right.
I found a lot of businesses who I'm now very loyal to because I was introduced through Groupon.
Right. So the question often arises when it comes to Groupon and stuff like that. A lot of people say, well, how does one use Groupon? There actually is a very strategic way to use Groupon. One, you don't use it when you're first starting your business.
Yeah.
Okay, because financially, the cash flow will just eat into your cash flow. Two, I mean, you're better off using it as a service-based business as opposed to a product-based. If you're a product-based business, do not use Groupon if you're just starting out. What Groupon really is, is an exposure vehicle.
Yep.
It's a vehicle for branding. If you are established and you've got good cash flow already, and you want to kind of create a higher level of awareness, kind of like what you're saying, what you use Groupon for.
Yep.
That's when you use Groupon.
Yeah.
That's when you use Living Social. A lot of people don't realize this. A lot of entrepreneurs, they think, oh, great, I can get a lot of customers. Yeah, but Groupon takes half or more. They already want you to discount what you're already trying, and they'll take half. So it's, yeah.
Oh man, now I'm glad.
Yeah.
Because it's funny because whenever, well, there's like a side bit, but whenever, there's like a service-based business and there's tip involved, I always tip on the original amount just because there's something maybe even extra if I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's a server thing.
But
People who are in the service industry.
Yeah. But I didn't know it was that Groupon takes half. And so, wow, that makes me feel really relieved.
Yeah, Groupon takes a lot. So, so that's one of those things where people, and at the end of the day, it's brilliant. Groupon is a business, and all that business did was basically addressing a specific need in the marketplace for people who are coupon clippers. That's what basic Groupon is to tap into that, right? Yeah. Tap into that mentality.
Yeah. So speaking of mentality, so in Lucidity, what did you think about after hearing all this, the weeks leading up to it?
Yeah,
because you were asked some pretty interesting questions.
So it was kind of cool. It was interesting having an audience there inside a little tent, type of thing, cozy, intimate. So I decided not to stand. The previous speaker stood, and it forced people to sit further back because if you're like right under him while he's standing, then it can't get that intimate. So I sat down, and people came in. I had a plan to talk about limitless motivation, prosperity, and all that. And my talk completely went sideways because just calibrating on energy. And this is how I always speak anyway. I kind of poll the room, engage with the room a little bit, find out who the heck is there, what's going on.
Yeah.
And then I do minor adjustments to my presentation.
Yeah.
But this time around, I basically threw the whole presentation out the window.
Well, I was thinking about it afterwards because you mentioned that, and again, you being able to sense the energy in the room. It would have been interesting if you had gone with the motivational source or tapping into limitless motivational. Tapping into limitless motivational source because their motivations, a lot of people, especially people who had to ask questions, I kind of question where your motivation is really coming from and where you want to direct it to.
Right.
So the material that you did touch on, I felt like that was, getting people a lot more grounded and seeing, okay, well, where do, like, first, like, why do you want to be motivated, and tap into the why.
Right. And that's really, I still taught the content about around the motivation piece. It was just in a different order than what I thought I was going to do.
Yeah.
And I included a whole bunch of other content that didn't expect to go to. Talked a lot about the 4 bodies of prosperity.
Which is something that I think the community really needed.
Yeah, and I talked a lot about how to release old emotional charges, talked about super brain yoga, talked about cutting cords, grounding, all the different things that they were pretty engaged. Everybody got up and did all the exercise and everything, which is really cool. Yeah. And surprisingly, when we offered a next step to stay connected with us, almost everybody in the room did.
Yeah,
which blew my mind because and Mia was also there, and we both were sitting there going, "Wow, we didn't expect that many people to want to to take action on it." Yeah. So some of the questions that came up were interesting though, and I was wondering when it was going to show up. Where you're right. I mentioned money a lot, just saying money a lot, just kind of seeing how the room reacted. In the beginning, though, people were like, it was like someone poked them.
Yep.
But then later on,
Yep.
More and more people just kind of relaxed into that money talk. Except there was a couple where one girl finally said, which was expected. I was like, I was wondering when was somebody going to say something, right? It says,
she
"What?"
yelled.
She basically yelled out into us, "But I don't want to make money," right? And then this other guy, two people down from her, basically clapped and yelped in like
support,
or like in celebration. You're like, yes, I don't want to make money either.
Yeah.
And and it was interesting because I said, okay, cool, and I said, to each their own. I can totally respect where you're coming from, right? But let me ask you this. Okay, and I used "but" for a reason. It was an intentional "but." I said, who in the room here has a mission, a vision, a mission, or a purpose of what they're here to do? Raise your hand. How many of you have a business, right? And I basically said something simple like, hey, if I gave you $1 million for your business, for your vision, for your mission, could you do something amazing with it? And everybody said yes, right?
Yeah.
So it was a very telling, and they got quiet for a little bit, but then I wanted to have them tell me more.
And so the guy did.
Both the guy and the girl did.
Yeah. Well, the girl, I remember what she just said.
She started going off, and you notice when they responded and started talking about to support why they didn't want to make money, they got real quiet.
Yeah.
They weren't as loud.
Yeah.
And they started to mumble. So much so that you saw me, I practically fell on my chair leaning forward trying to hear what they're saying. I still really couldn't understand what they're saying. And it got to a point where I said, I'm sorry, can you say that again? She goes, never mind, forget it.
Yeah.
Right? And then he started going into it.
Well, later on.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how, money is this human construct of, modern enslavement and, just this whole, and so this is why I wanted you to step into this festival scene, is because I totally get people who want to be financially secure. There might be some people who want to be financially wealth, just abundant in financial means.
Right.
I can understand that distinguishing factor, but what he was saying is society doesn't need money, but and I'm just like, dude, I know that right now, what our world is associating money with is typically evil. He used the word evil. Yeah, he
did use the word evil, and this goes back to a lot of what I say to people when they complain about people who make money are evil and everything like that. And so basically, I said to this person who would talk about the same topic one time, I said to him, so what you're saying based on your logic that only evil people make money and good people who are here to do good don't. He goes, yeah. I said, so you're saying evil people are the only ones that should be making money, not good people? It's like, yeah. So if you're here to do good, you shouldn't be making money. Yeah. It's like, how skewed is that?
Yeah.
But what if you were the good ones and you started to make money? Would that make you evil? He goes, no.
Well, and this is the thing is that, later you talked about, and in refute to what he was saying, you talked about Monopoly, my Monopoly
story.
And I thought that was beautiful. That was exactly what they needed to hear, because in reality, I get it, they are coming from this place, but at the same time, these tickets to go to these festivals, they're $300.
$300 a
Not
pop.
only that, the food that you're going to have to buy to sustain yourself.
And I looked at the prices on the food. They're standard,
more expensive. Yeah. There were, their plates of salads are going for $8, $10, but they're very high nutritional value, I understand, but also, going to a regular brick and mortar, it would have been a little bit cheaper, but it's a festival scene. Things are just marked a little bit higher because it's a festival.
You can't go anywhere else. It's in the mountains.
Yep.
Unless you go forage.
Yep. But
I'm sure people have too. People went hunting.
I'm not surprised. But I do also want to insert that festivals like this, they don't just solely focus on making money. There's a lot of generosity that's included in this community.
Sure.
So our friend AJ, he said that he forgot to bring his food for the entire weekend because he had packed so fast before he left. And so, I didn't fret. He didn't fret because we both know this community is if you're in need, there will be people who are going to share and provide.
Right.
But back to your answer, I'd really like for you to elaborate on the Monopoly piece.
Well, yeah, I made a video a few weeks back about it. I actually talked about it a lot. So it's when I was younger, I really sucked at Monopoly. And the reason why I sucked is I was one of those kids, and a lot of guys are like this. We'll jump into a board game thinking that, looks pretty straightforward. I roll the dice and I move my piece. Wow. What do I have to read the instructions for? And the same thing still happens today when I get a new piece of technology. I don't read the instructions. I just go in there and dive in and figure it out. Well, Monopoly is one of those games. There's so many different nuances and side rules and everything like that where you can't really just, you got to know at least the basics. So when I used to play Monopoly, I used to win some, but I used to lose a lot more than I won. So I really didn't like the game. I wasn't a big fan because I couldn't figure out, without reading the rules, how to win the game. So I just gave up on actually learning the game because this game sucks. Until one time I went to a house party. And at the house party, there was this really cute girl that I wanted to get to know. And we were walking around. I was just kind of like, because when you're younger, kind of like a puppy dog, like, hi. And I was kind of following her around. And then at one point, she turned around and says, do you like Monopoly? And fortunately, I waited a little bit because I was like, how should I answer this? Because I was about to say, not really. I'm not a big fan of Monopoly. Because she immediately followed because I love Monopoly. I really love it. I was like, oh, yeah? Yeah, me too. I was like, okay, where's this going? And sure enough, she goes, do you want to play? And I said, here at the party? I don't think they even have one. She says, no, I just saw a box. He has the box in the other room. We can totally play. Do you want to play? I love Monopoly. I'm like, okay, because she was cute and I didn't want to say no, right? So we went back to that. She showed me what the box was. She said, it's just going to be us two? Shouldn't we have more people? She goes, you're right. Let me go find some more people. And I'm like, okay, that was my chance. So I sat there and was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I pulled out the box and I started setting things up because she says, go ahead and set up. And then I flipped over and I said, the instructions. So I started reading the instructions. Oh, this is why I sucked so much at Monopoly before. Because I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could do this and all these different things. And I said, okay, cool. Finally, she went back and got all these people to come play because she's cute. And everyone's like, okay. So it ended up being this, all these guys, maybe even one other girl, but mostly it was just guys, right? Yeah. And she goes, scoot over, I'll sit next to you. I'm like, yay. So I was sitting on the edge of the couch of this little table area where we were playing, and I put the cover strategically next to me so that I can kind of like refer back if I need to, and do it in a way where nobody else can really tell. And then we started to play the game. Yeah. I got to tell you, that was the best Monopoly game I ever played in my life. One, because I had this high motivation. Two, I had read the instructions. Yeah. I read the rules. Yeah. I understand the rules of the game. Yeah. And as a result, I don't remember exactly but I did really well to the point where the girl turned to me and says, wow, you're really good at this way. Because I think I was correcting people that, thought they knew how to play the game, but I was correcting and I was teaching. She goes, wow, I didn't know you knew this game so well. And I said, yeah, and she goes, we should play again sometime. I'm like, sure.
Oh my God.
But, so there's a bunch of wins there. And I didn't learn that lesson until later in life. I'm thinking back, I said, and realizing that, when it comes to money, the game of Monopoly or, the game that Robert Kiyosaki has, which is cash flow and everything, money is, it's kind of like a game. If you look at life, and this is why a lot of the most prosperous, wealthy, happy people in the world, they kind of look at making money like a game. It's like a fun little addiction. It's like, I love this game, not the addiction. And I made a point to the group. Did you hear? It's not addiction to money. It's addiction to making money and how you want to make money, right? And so, one of the things in thinking back, I always like to reflect back on the speaking events, and I think we talked about it on the way out of the festival that evening, which was, if you want, let's say those two people are like festival junkies. They love going to festivals. Well, festivals cost money. What if you want to travel the world in festivals? Yeah. What do you need to do that? Yeah. What would facilitate that so that you can live a lifestyle of festivals? Make money. Yeah. Coachella tickets are really expensive. How much are they?
Dude, they're I think like $400.
$400, $500, and if you buy it and it's like sold out, it's like $600, $700. People are scalping them.
Oh, I think they are. I think early bird is like $300, $400, and general is like
$600-$700, right?
Yeah, because they have payment plans.
Yeah, and it's not cheap. Yeah, and it's so fascinating to me that people spend that kind of money, go to these events, and then poo-poo on the money that got them there to begin with.
And also, the interesting thing is about this community is you'll think about it. If these people, like for me, I envision myself being able to pay, and financially contribute to the festival and, be able to support them, but also if a friend wanted to come, you know, I can be like, hey, like, if you don't have enough money, that's okay. Like, I would love to share this experience with you. I got it. That's fine. And it's like, I understand the aversion towards, you know, having money be like the sole focus of your life. But also, I think that's why that was the trigger of, you know, saying money so many times is, well, if you took away that negative connotation that you have with money or the anxiety that you have around the word money, think of what you can do, like, and not in just your life, but in other people's lives as well. Because you know, the other girl, she talked about, like just being myself and me and, you know, kind of being like a self-sustaining person, which I can respect as well. Like, you know, no harm in the environment, being able to take care of yourself and be like self-reliable, self-reliant. But at the same time, you know, I'm thinking like, from my perspective, and I may be wrong, but from my perspective is that's a little selfish. Think about how you play in other people's lives and think about the community.
Have. I mean, if you live in a cave and you don't interact with anybody.
Exactly. Then that's fine. Yeah. You know, like whatever. But like you are taking part in society. So, you know, how are you contributing back to the people around you?
Right.
Maybe not the, you know, the entire world where all these like evil people have all this wealth. But, you know,
quote
like,
unquote evil people.
Yeah, but you're, you know, like you're the degrees of who you know, and if you want to, you know, put this intention forward of, you know, like wholehearted living, just be yourself, like, and be like very happy, not enveloped in money, then why not help just spread that, and why not just learn the rules of the game and play accordingly? Right.
I mean, if you are not, I mean, unfortunately, if for those who are not realizing that, hey, the world that we live in, do you hear that kid in the background? It's like, hey, I want to be on this show. Yeah, but for, you know, what a lot of people don't realize is that we for the most part, most of us are born in a capitalistic world. If you're listening to this show, chances are you live in a capitalistic society.
And that is not specific to just the United States,
right? I mean, if you look from the majority of the planet of the free world, so to speak,
or not even the free world,
or
like
in a not so free world,
even
in an enslaved world.
But kind of,
money is a big driving factor, and if we took money away, we wouldn't know what would happen to that. So here's the thing: while we're in the game, okay, what better way to thrive and make a difference and make an impact than to play within the rules of the game? Every successful, impactful, prolific individual in the history of man, in what, you know, for them on the planet. The reason why they're able to make the impact that they make is because, one, they first learned the foundation of understanding the basic rules of the game. Then the better, I mean, have you ever played like any kind of game or sport where the better you understood the rules, the more you could learn how to do better, or you expand within the realms of the rules to maximize your end result, right? And not necessarily bend the rules, but you find like loopholes. You find like ways to kind of like not exactly exploit the system, but create your own rules that fit how you want to live your life, and still, you know, like be part of the game. Right.
And this is, you know, it's kind of like learning the rules to know how to break them, right? Is that these rules,
or inspire new rules that can do something better.
Exactly.
Like the Elon Musks of the world, he's constantly disrupting and challenging the rules that we thought.
Disruptors.
Right? But to disrupt, you need to understand the basic rules of the game. You need a foundation. You can't disrupt for the sake of disrupting because you have nothing to back you up. And if you get shot down because you're disrupted, you're going to fall into an abyss of just like, oh, now
being like outcasted.
Or you can't get up. Or you have so much trouble, you spend your entire life getting up. Right now, when Elon Musk has an idea, he goes out there and and if it gets shot down, he goes, no matter, I have a foundation. I have this financial foundation that allows me to keep bouncing back as much as I want. You know, the founders of Google, same thing. You know, Zuckerberg, same thing. All these people who developed, you know, develop their prosperity within the rules of the game of the world as we know it, so that they can position themselves to be disruptors, to create new rules of the game for future, for prosperity.
And well, interestingly enough, you know, this guy ended up leaving the workshop very early.
His girlfriend didn't want to, though. She was like, and she
was engaged. She seemed like she was really sweet. She asked a question or two before he spoke, and you know, she was really engaged.
Right.
Like,
and some of the people who left, they actually made sure that I made eye contact with them, and then they acknowledged and they waved.
That's what you were doing. Okay. I thought you were looking back at someone who's giving you signals or something. And I was
no.
"What?"
A lot of times, most of the people who were leaving, they left because of whatever reason.
Yeah.
But they didn't leave. It didn't seem like they were leaving because they wanted to. And so they almost all of them waited until I made eye contact and they waved and then they left. So they were acknowledging, say hi, thank you type of thing.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I mean, it went a lot better than I thought. I have to tell you, since it was a new thing, and it's very rare that I get kind of nervous. I was a little bit nervous the night before. I was like, I don't know what's going to show up. You know, I mean, I had faith and trusted the fact that when I showed up, I was going to serve at the highest level as I possibly could. And at the same time, I had no idea because it's like a whole brand new environment for me, you know?
Super.
So
because you'd only heard about it.
No, I've only heard, I've only seen videos and I've only seen, you know, so for me, it was like...
different to experience it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad they asked those questions. I'm, you know, with any person who you're retaining knowledge from, you know, like even in lectures and during my college years, it's really helped when people ask these questions where... even for me, you know, it's like, I'm like, interesting, like, that's a good point. And when someone can back up, you know, what they're trying to say or, you know, the point that they're trying to drive in a really creative way, it's even more credible for the information that you had to share.
Right.
I just figured that, you know, they just want to be in that world of what they, you know, constructed around the word money.
Right.
So, yeah, and even, you know, like working with you recently, you know, kind of chipping away slowly at, you know, the things that are the emotions that hang around money. Just recently I have realized it's like why have I had this aversion towards, you know, and it's interesting to see where the guy's coming from and then where we're like headed towards.
I mean, at the end of the day is that if you have a commitment and a conviction to making a difference on this planet, you know, and it may be not this planet, maybe it's in your community, or maybe it's making a difference in your family unit, your direct family, your significant other, your children, and maybe that's all that matters to you. Okay, having the prosperous financial foundation is going to make that commitment, that conviction so much easier. Right? Imagine living a life where you don't even have to think about whether or not you can get that for your daughter or your son. Or you have to say, oh, let's go on a vacation. Great. You just have to make time on the calendar. Right? You know, I still hear this all the time from my friends and stuff like that who, you know, every year they go on vacation and they spend the rest of the year paying back the debt they accrued on vacation. And I said, that seems kind of weird. So it's kind of like this nasty cycle where if you were to, you know, use money in a different way where it actually leverages and creates more prosperity, more abundance of it, you know, and so there's so many different things. And I have to talk about, though, so throughout the presentation, okay, I ended up just giving. And even at the end, you know, the call to action was, you know, just give us your name and email. We'll give you a free audio, meditation audio, right? And despite all that, there was some feedback that came back from one of the audience members that it felt like I was pitching. You know, and this actually kind of leads into a lot of what people don't realize is that if you have an aversion for sales pitches, if you have aversion for opportunities, or if someone's not even pitching, you choose the perception that they're trying to pitch something. That is a form of money anxiety. That is a money story that is literally keeping you from making more money. That is you going against the grain of the game. Right.
I've actually just experienced that recently. I had an epiphany in December at Epic Life, and you know, we talked about that that kind of that ickiness towards when someone's trying to pitch towards you, because I used to have that. I still kind of have that, to be really honest, when someone's trying to pitch me something.
Right.
But I realized that the reason why I feel so icky around it when it's, you know, like, you know, those people who are trying to come up to you during the malls and like when you're walking through the malls and the sales carts and stuff. It was like it actually came from like a deep seat of like not feeling confident in my skills or abilities, because, you know, like for them to come up to me, I'm like, I would just think like, I don't need this. I already have everything that I have. I don't need this. If I need it, then, you know, I'm going to be able to find it. You know, just those like the initial thoughts that would come up. It's like, why not be open to someone trying to share something with you, even if it does have to do with like a money exchange? Like, what's the big deal? Like, if you can be like open about it and see if this can really benefit from you, and like be really like open your ears and your mind to just be, like receptive, and who knows what can happen.
Yeah, and these days, no, I totally get that too, because when I was younger, I think it's because of my parents and everything like that, they're like, don't answer the door, it's a salesperson. What? Right? So these days, having done the work and everything and released a lot of that stuff, these days when I hear someone trying to pitch and they're like going out of their way to really pitch or do a sales pitch, okay, I listen to see, it's almost from a coaching standpoint. I'm like looking, how are they pitching? What are they saying? Ooh, that was good. Oh, I don't know about that. Love the energy. Oh, you have no energy. Oh, you're just running through a script and everything like that. I've actually was at a mall one time, ended up buying some, that Seacrest thing where it's like a face wash thingamabob.
Like a Dead Sea Salt?
Yeah, something like that. And it's like a gel thing you put on your face and you rub it and it comes off and stuff like that. And when it comes off, all your face comes off. I don't know. Okay. So anyway, so this girl, she was ended up learning so much about her. She's from like the UK, came over here, and this is her business. She's doing it with her mom and everything like that. And it all started with her said, hey, da-da-da-da, and I'm listening to her pitch. And then so I gave her some pointers because she found out what it is that I do. She goes, oh my God, you're so right. This and that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I ended up buying some stuff because it was cool. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Let me try it. She goes, yeah. And it wasn't that much. It was like $100 or something like that. Yeah. And then, but when we were done, exchanged cards, ended up having this, this really cool conversation. Yeah. Consequently, never heard from her again. And at the same time, that's kind of like a cool thing. I said, so I took note in my head what was cool, and then kind of paid attention to what was drawing me in. Yeah. Right. And then say, well, then I can probably use that. And if that's not already existing in my conversations, my serving conversation, sales conversation with people, then how I can do that. So it becomes this whole educational piece and realization that everybody that you encounter gives you a learning opportunity. Those two people that asked those charged questions, like, I don't want to make money, was like fascinating to me because it's been a really long time that somebody has ever asked me that question. I was like going, I wonder how I'm going to, manage that question. It's like a left. In the world that we live in the Six Figure Academy, we almost never get asked that question. People come to us because they want to make more money. And then to have this come out of left field is like, wow, this is a long time since I've ever had that kind of question show up.
Well, these questions are not rare because, again, this type of community, even though they really do believe in abundance and self, sustainability, and really, it's also just when the majority, especially in this like really high vibe, like, oh, I'm so connected with you type of environment, and they, they link and connect on the, oh, like I don't need money, like money is so evil, and it's just supported by one person after another, after another, after another. When when people are in this environment of being very vulnerable with their emotions or their opinions and their thoughts, it's kind of rough to kind of get over that dominating thought. And that's another reason why I felt like it was really important to come and bring you into this space, is because these types of weekends are probably the most vulnerable that people are making themselves. They come with this intention of wanting to connect with other people and wanting to absorb a lot with information. And I felt like, a lot of people were so engaged at that. Yeah, like this girl who was, that with that exam coming up, and she shared, you did the activity with her with the ER protocol, and it's like people, like how often, if you were to walk down the street, or even if you were to host a workshop here, like how open do you think like people would actually be and feel that safe in that community to express everything?
Yeah, I mean, the way I pre-frame a lot of presentation, it actually happens more often than you think. But if I just walk up to some random person and say, they're like, no, get away from me, right? Yeah, it takes a little bit of artistry work to get people prepped to that point. And you're right. I mean, when they're that open, there's probably less prep work that needs to be done to actually get them to say, yeah, I'm ready to let things go. And a lot of people do that, which is why I can't wait for you to actually see Brandy Vale at Millionaire Brain Yoga.
I'm really excited.
On the 23rd, for those who are listening on and are local, on April 23rd, which is a Sunday, I'll be speaking at this day workshop event called Millionaire Brain Yoga. And if you want more information about that, we'll post that in the comments a little bit later. Make sure you do that, Jessica.
And so, I think it's 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. In Marina Del Rey.
And she came from the festival community.
Yeah, she's a part of Or her family is very tight with Lucidity.
So for a long time, that was her world in terms of, I mean, a little bit of money aversion. But now she's doing millionaire brain yoga, which is really kind of like talking about the money piece.
Yeah.
And I had a brief conversation with her. She says, I don't hang out in that festival and that crowd as much anymore because I've realized that, you know, I'm still doing all those different things where we're trying to do, like, you know, the whole Bitcoin and the whole community money type of thing. Yeah. And at the same time, I need to be playing the game. Right? So it's going to be really cool for those of you who want to join us. You'll be there, right, Jess?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, so you get to see the transformation of what is possible for a lot of these festival people, because she was hardcore burner type.
Yeah, no, I totally understand people who, you know, another critique that a lot of people share around these types of festivals is that it's kind of used as in like an escape mechanism. You know, it's just escape from your life and be in this world and then to go back.
Well, yeah, and you know, a funny thing is, it's an organized escape mechanism, right? It's like a group, like Exodus escape mechanism, because everybody, I mean, most people who don't do that escape on some level.
Well, there are a lot of people who bounce from festival to festival to festival and make it their lives, you know, being in this
wave
community.
riding, right?
Yeah. Well, I do have to say the people who organize Lucidity, they're very, like, this isn't their entire lives that they a lot of them have other side jobs that they or main jobs that they attend to as well. But yeah, I think that think about it, if more people participated in this game together with the same intentions, you know, like, this game would be in our favor and we wouldn't have people who would be averse to making more money in their lives.
So basically that community represents the other side of the pendulum swing of the super hardcore, I just want to make money, all the way to the other side is no, right? Both sides have their merits and both sides have their weaknesses when it comes to true abundance and prosperity and, you know, the money foundation piece.
Yeah.
You know, people who are far on that side, you know, because I have clients who are healers and stuff like that, and we have to bring them over from that festival side of like woo, right? Yeah. And then there are people who are hardcore left brain, tactical, you know, warlike, you know, the making money type of thing, you know. Have to bring them closer to, you know, less of that left brain side, you know, to find that balance. I guess balance would be but balance is interesting. I mean, you know, they use balance all the time, but, you know, what do you think of when you say balance? You know, a lot of people think that, you know, the high wire where the guy's walking and he's balancing. Okay. Which is not a very comfortable position to be in. So there's a little challenge with using that word for a lot of people, because they don't realize what reason why people struggle with getting balance, because balance is typically not a very comfortable place to be in. Think about it, right? When you're balancing at any given moment, you're off balance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm just thinking of balance as in, like, you know, the right amount of each side to...
So a better description of that typically would be like harmonious state of being, homeostasis, right? A place where nature naturally likes to go to.
Equilibrium.
Right? Because if you go to the full woo side or the full left brain side, that is not natural.
Yeah.
You know? And when we are living in the world that we live in right now, there is a different homeostasis point than if you were a caveman. There's a different type of world, right? But because of the world we live in, every time you struggle to not live in this world, the reason why a lot of these festivals are held in, like, close to nature, where people walking around barefoot and everything, is because that's the only way they can keep those people on this planet grounded.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's why in raves people die.
Yeah.
Because it's not as close to Earth. It's in a warehouse, where the case may be. People want to escape, and all of a sudden people disappear. Now, they can blame it on drugs, whatever the case may be, but really, at the end of the day, if you stay ungrounded long enough, you will leave your body. And that's why one of the big things I wanted to, hopefully, you know, a lot of people who were students and stuff like that, or who were in that talk, took into account to ground themselves as much as possible. You know, and what's ironic is that people like to be, like, you know, off, you know, like you went to Desert Hearts the week and people like to take drugs and everything like that, and they're like whoosh, out of body, right? Yeah. And ironically, if you want to get the most that you can out of a festival like Lucidity, the more grounded you are, the more you'll get out of it. The more you retain. And people don't realize that. That's why when we get salespeople who struggle with sales and start to get in the ground more often, they actually make more sales. People, so
the next morning it was interesting. I was helping I was assisting a yoga class that my friend was teaching, and she's so talented. But we met like a few minutes before the class was starting, and then she just said, when you are helping them doing alignments, just make sure that you're sending them like grounding energy, like a lot of grounding, because this entire festival is about that kind of like the air, the creation, like the fire, just really like the openness, right? The openness to receive a lot, whether it's like like seeing, hearing, like eating, just a lot of things. And she just made it like a really good point. Just even if you can take a few minutes before you start, and just make sure you ground yourself. Just like make sure that you're maintaining that connection.
Yeah, because as long as you have a physical body on this planet, you need to be in your body to create anything that you want. That includes money. That includes results on tangible results. If you want to create a product that sells well, you need to be in your body to create that product well. That's why sometimes when people create physical products that don't do so well, and they don't last, or they break, or whatever the case may be, it's because they weren't grounded when they created it.
Interesting,
right? Really interesting thing. So, it was an interesting experience. And, for those who can't really relate to that whole community or a lot of what we were talking about today, then, there, like I said, there's absolute merit in that, into engaging the different bodies. So the 4 bodies of prosperity that we talked about with them was like energetic body, mental body, emotional body, physical body. Most of us spend our entire lives heavy in the mental body. And then what that festival allows people to do is explore the other bodies, such as the energetic, emotional, and physical bodies.
Yes.
The problem with a lot of these left brain people who don't have no idea what that festival is all about tend to be so entrenched in the mental body that they try to solve everything from the mental body, which you just can't do. Part of why we get such great results here at the Six Figure Academy is because we get people to be part of all those 4 bodies and stuff like that. So it was a really kind of a cool experience, and the question arises like, will I go do that again? I don't know.
Well, the beauty of these types of festivals. So I just found out. I've heard of Shakti Fest and Bhakti Fest. Shakti is once a year. Bhakti is once a year, but it's like every 6 months. It's one or the other. And Shakti Fest is it's like a yoga festival. It's like yoga, kirtan, devotional singing, like detoxing, like no other substances at all, just pure healthy. That's like a week long. That's about 4 days long. So there's just so many different types of festivals that are going on, and each one has its own character. I would definitely invite people to experience it and see. There's Lightning in a Bottle in May, and they also hold workshops amongst the music and the food and everything. But just kind of like finding your own home. Like a lot of people have a preference for what type of festivals that they want to go to, and the challenge I have with a lot of those festivals is like a lot of times people are so swung over to the woo side. I mean, I don't know how many people we shifted in that one small talk. And we may or may not know, but we have their contact information, so we'll see. And since it's the first time, we're gonna have to look at the statistics and everything to see how many people actually continue to find that homeostasis, start working towards finding that equilibrium. There's a couple of people, like the woman who engaged with talking about her testing and this and that, and going through the ER protocol with her. I mean, she has potential, And there's a couple other people there that I thought, okay, cool. Energetically, it seems like they're really wanting to find the best marriage between their love for this festival type of community and being able to apply that towards achieving success on this planet. Yeah.
And so it's gonna be interesting to see what transpires out of that.
Yeah. Yeah, interestingly, the guy before you, he was talking about like start your business and
change the world.
Yeah, change the world.
And he's a burner, right? He's a TED speaker and a burner.
Yeah, and he even posited in the beginning. He's like, oh, this, you come out of these festivals and like the universe is abundant and it's going to provide until you're staying on your friend's couch and your friend is the universe providing for you. Right. Week after week. Right. And I was like, yeah, that's true. But I also, just the topic of money is just so hard to talk about. He had to talk about business, but at the end of the day, what is a business based on?
What is a business there to do?
Yeah.
To make an impact, but in order to continue to make a bigger impact, it needs to generate income.
Yeah.
So really, I mean, it's the willingness to play the game, the willingness to take the time to kind of read the rules, to understand the rules of the game. And it doesn't matter what your goals are for your lifetime here on the planet. If you want to get the most out of your time here, doing whatever it is that you want to do, pick anything that you want to do on this planet, you got to take the time to learn the rules, the rules of engagement, the rules. And if you disrupt too early, then you're going to end up disrupting your own flow, right?
Yep.
Doesn't mean you can't disrupt. Just make sure that you've got a good, solid foundation of understanding of the rules of the game, so that no matter what, you don't lose the game. And losing the game could be a variety of different things, like you don't make money, or you're stuck in a rut, or you're on a hamster wheel of the daily grind. It depends. It just depends on how you would define losing in the game of life, so to speak, right? I remember. Do you remember the game of life?
Yeah, I love that game.
You spin the thing, and then one of the I found out after because I knew the rules of that game.
Yeah.
Okay. And I kicked butt on that game, but I realized the thing that made me the most money was having as many kids as possible in that game.
Really?
Yeah. The more kids you have, the more money that it pays you. So you get like $600 to $800 or something like per kid. So I would somehow finagle and find a way to have so many kids. I had so many kids, I had to put kids under the car to move that little car thing around.
I was going to say 2 cars.
Yeah. I should probably just got another car.
Just bought a car, gosh.
Gosh, yeah.
Make your kids cling onto the bottom of the car.
It's like, and I'm just like, Daddy, I want to ride in the car. It's not your turn yet.
Wait until the next roll.
Wait until the next roll. But in the constructs of that game, which obviously isn't very realistic, for me to win in that game, I found a slipstream. For me, was to get as many kids as possible, right?
And teach its own.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even in the Settlers of Catan, have you played
No, you mentioned that. I don't know that game.
Oh, man.
Stop pretending that everybody else knows it,
Everyone does.
No.
Oh, my goodness.
We asked last time and nobody commented on it. So
no, but that game is really interesting because there's so many different strategies that each person can play to that it's like a free-for-all. It's however the game goes, and you just never know with each round. And, yeah, it's amazing. We should play that.
No.
We'll play that.
I don't know. There's enough games that I have to play.
Monopoly, Life, and then Settlers of Catan.
No, I don't need to play Life, but Monopoly, yeah, and then the cash flow game by Robert Kiyosaki and stuff like that. It's gone to a point where I'm actually just very, everything around my life is kind of around the niche that I like being in, and it has really become like a game. The scores that are kept are just statistical stuff. The scores
strategies that you use.
Strategies, and just and for me, winning the game is helping others achieve the success that they want. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like the cool game that I have going on. So, the question I have for those of you listening is that, what's the game that you want to play? What's the game that you want to play in life? Now, there is a basic core fundamental set of rules that you have to that you adhere to at least have a chance of winning in the game that you're playing in this lifetime. And that has to do with getting your, mastering money in your life. Yeah. If you look at every prolific man or woman in the history of man, they have mastered the concept of money on some level before they achieve results. Okay, before they made an impact. Yeah. If you look at Buddha, he didn't become Buddha and made his name until he mastered money. The concept of money. He was a prince. Yep. So he came from money, right? Yep. But I mean, he got to a point where he goes, "Okay, I'm done with this." Yep. St. Francis did the same thing. He was a prince too. Gandhi was a successful lawyer before he got into the spiritual journey. Yeah. Exactly. And all these people who got into their purposeful path, learn the rules of the game to master. Dalai Lama, of course, Dalai Lama was an entrepreneur or anything like that, but he is a brand in himself. He never has to worry about food, never has to worry about clothing, right? He never has to worry about shelter.
Yeah.
Okay. He has his mastering of money, so to speak, and is more about what money can provide and create. If he needs $20, he doesn't have to go out and make it. It just comes as he just needs to ask. That's what we mean about it. And so a lot of our clients now, they just simply ask for what they want when it comes to money, and because they set up this constructs within their business and their life, it just comes. All you have to do is ask. Right now, these days, when we need things for our business and everything like that, the first thing we do is we ask for it. We don't say, how am I going to make this? We don't concern ourselves, how are we going to make this money? No, this is what we want to bring in.
Yeah.
And then we bring it in, right? And we're just doing what we know how to do best and have faith and work along with prosperity to bring that in. Okay? So really, playing the money game is a lot more than just saying, okay, cool, I have to get a job, I have to do this, and then, the strategy and tactics. There's so much more. So most of us are only playing with half the rules in mind. Maybe not even half, maybe even a fraction of the rules. So the goal really is to, okay, if you were to take into account that maybe I don't know all the rules to the game, what then can I do, right? Okay, listen to this podcast. That's what you can do. You can start there, and then you can get all our free stuff. We have a weekly newsletter that goes out, and our YouTube channel has all these videos on it and stuff like that, right? Like us on Facebook and all these different things. There's so many resources out there, right? A lot. As long as we get out of our own way and say, hey, there's probably more rules to the game that we are not paying attention to, right? So,
man.
Lots. So anyway, what's one rule of the game that you've, over the last few months since you joined our family here, that you've, what's one rule of the game that has really stood out in your mind?
Rule? What do you mean?
When it comes to, the money game, mastering money and all those different things.
I think the most, outstanding rule has just been there's no shame in wanting to make a lot of money, and again, in asking for it. It's like, okay, well, I need this to do this, then go for it. What's holding you back? Just do it.
Right. And that's the biggest thing. I'm reading this new book called How to Get Rich. That's really simple, by Felix Dennis. I highly recommend it. It's actually really good. As simple as that title is, it's like, whoa, kind of like, the book I want to write is called This Book Will Trigger You, because it's all about money. And he talks about one of the biggest reasons why people don't get rich or don't make money is because they're just so afraid of being shamed, or they're afraid to fail, or they're afraid of what people might think or say.
Yeah.
What if we weren't doing any of that?
Yeah.
Right. So
yes,
really, really cool. Okay, cool. So we have a few minutes left. No questions have come in this week. So yeah, we're just not exciting enough. We always have to have a guest on the call. But next week we actually have a speaking coach, a speaker coach, right? John Block from Speaker Venture is going to be our guest next time, and he's going to talk about his money story, as well as bring us up to date on some of his cool happenings. I've known John for a while, so make sure you tune in on that, especially if you want to learn about how a professional speaker basically overcomes his money thing, and he's actually doing really well now. When I first met him and knew him, there were definitely some challenges, and now there's he's working in a flow of abundance and everything like that. That's pretty exciting.
Nice.
So I guess the timing's really good because the mic's starting to act up again. So so make sure you join us next week. That's Tuesday, April 18th at noon for the John Block event. We have a couple minutes. Ooh, okay. That works about better. The fuzz went away. So any last things you want to add before we sign out, Jessica?
No, just keep making money.
Yeah. Play the rules of the game and, make it fun.
Yeah.
It should be a really fun thing, because think about it. Every time you get stuck on something and you have an aversion towards money, just think, if I had $100,000 right now, what would I do? And play that game. We used to play that game a lot. If I win the lotto, what do we do, right? And when we were younger, it's like, I want this and I want a pony, you know? But now when you're older, you think, well, I can do more, you know? And I mean, I used to watch, I got inspired by Idol Gives Back, you know, American Idol. And I was like going, God, I want to be able to do that. Oh yeah, I need millions of dollars to do that. Ooh, cool. That could be my next thing. Nice. So anyway, so think about that. Would love to hear your comments. Comment below, especially if you're hearing this after the live event. We're going to actually post the link on the comments to the Millionaire Brain Yoga, which is on the 23rd. So join us there if you can. Otherwise, join us again next week for John Block, our guest, on the 18th for Stop Money Anxiety Now. And other than that, we're signing off.
Thank you for listening, guys.
Thank you.